How did you start on this journey to help children with dyslexia?
Actually, it was kind of a long journey. It was interesting and kind of winding journey. It started with my son initially having some difficulty in school, and when we got him the help he needed, my wife would take him to this special school for kids with dyslexia, and she started reading some of the literature there, and she started to put some pieces together in her own life where she realized, you know what, I've always had difficulty where I've switched numbers around, and in school I had a photographic memory, but I didn't, had trouble with reading sometimes or whatever. And so she started to put together that she might have had dyslexia. And so from that, the first book, Dyslexia and Unstoppable, How Dyslexia Helps Us Create the Life of Our Dreams and How You Can Do It Too, that book came out. And in that book, I contributed to taking my 18 years as a pediatrician, my training at Yale, and the questions I've had over the years from parents, who had kids struggling in school or had kids who they were concerned about dyslexia, and so I contributed that to the book. And then from there, it's led to videos online, and of course now we have the website. And we're coming out with a new cookbook, and all these tools and strategies we've kind of realized that we've developed over the years have been very valuable to people, and we've started to get some great feedback on them.
What does dyslexia mean to you?
So, it's interesting if you look dyslexia up either online or in any textbook. There's all sorts of different definitions. I think the best definition is a difficulty with what's called phonological awareness, which is basically being able to assign the sounds to certain letters or letter combinations. But of course, kids with dyslexia then have other issues where they have difficulty with their fluency of their reading. It can affect their spelling. Some kids will have some speech issues involved, like a lisp or something like that. They may even have difficulties with math. There's dyscalculia, which is a math problem where they have difficulty. Sometimes it's an issue of lining up the numbers. Sometimes it's issues of learning the math facts. And then there's also some associated like fine motor issues. And kids can have trouble with tying shoes. They can have trouble with left-right confusion. And they may even have trouble with buttons, other little fine motor issues like that. So it is kind of a broad issue, and I think that goes to the fact that you can't say that dyslexia is just one thing. That I have dyslexia or you have dyslexia. It's there's grades of dyslexia. There's people who are severely affected. There's people who are less severely affected, and there's people that just have the math problems, and people who have more of the reading issues. So it is a very broad, but that kind of summarizes kind of the feel of what dyslexia is.
Given all the different experts in dyslexia out there, what unique expertise do you bring?
So it's interesting. As we started on this journey, I started thinking about that because now online you can search dyslexia, and there's tons of people online that are experts in the area or have all this expertise. And so I started to wonder, where is my expertise? And then I started to think back through my 18 years as a pediatrician and my training at Yale. And I realized nobody ever comes into my office and says, my child has dyslexia, what do I do? What they usually do is they come into my office and they say, I don't understand, my son is so smart, or my daughter is so smart, and yet he struggles at school. He's having attention problems. He seems to be having behavior problems. And while sitting and talking to the parents, reviewing the testing they've had, I'll come to realize that actually what's happening is you have a really smart child who's very intuitive, has great ideas, but when it comes to the reading piece, they get frustrated, and that's when they start to act out, maybe start to look like they have attention problems and those types of things. So I think that's where myself and also our company, my wife and I, have found our real expertise is in helping those parents whose kids are struggling in school, but they know they're smart, and helping them kind of connect the dots and realize what's going on, and then show them the resources that are available to help them. So overcoming dyslexia, it's kind of a loaded term. There are certain people who would say, oh, you never overcome dyslexia, you never get rid of it, it's always with you. And I would agree to that to a certain extent. But certainly you can, overcome it. You can take the parts that are great with dyslexia, that intuitive nature, that really creative nature, that ability to think 3D, the ability to come at problems from a different angle. You can take those great aspects and really build those up and augment those. And at the same time, you can help remediate the reading problems and the math problems, get the help that you need, whether it's through an Orton Gillingham or one of those types of reading programs. And then, of course, especially in today's society where we have all these great online tools and all these technologies, use technology to take away the parts that you don't have to worry about. Dragon dictation is an example. Using computers rather than having to write. Any of those things. So, most of the adult dyslexics, my wife will tell you this, most of the adult dyslexics will tell you, I haven't gotten rid of my dyslexia. It's still with me. There's still little things I have, but now that I'm successful, I realize it's a gift. I can use the great parts of dyslexia to, achieve great things, become an entrepreneur, create amazing discoveries, whatever. And the little parts that that still bother me, well, I either outsource them to other people, get other people to help me, or I use technology to help me with those things. So I think overcoming dyslexia, doesn't mean you get rid of it, but it certainly means you can have a great life with it.